It's the fourth quarter. The Bills have the ball against the Dolphins. They're down 3 scores and just outside of field goal range. It's 3rd and 10 with 5 minutes and 33 seconds on the clock. They need to convert a first down to keep this game alive. They come out of the huddle, line up in a shotgun formation with 11 personnel, 1 running back and 1 tight end with 3 receivers. And they're spread out wide across the field horizontally. This is their bread and butter. The Dolphins come out in a 2-4-5 nickel package. They replace one of their defensive linemen with a nickel corner, giving them better protection against the pass. The Dolphins have 4 defensive players lined up on the line of scrimmage, with an additional 3 players who are mugging the line of scrimmage, looking as if they might blitz. It's unclear who, if any of them, will. But due to this moment in the game, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to send at least one of them. So the Bills need to make an educated guess and adjust their protection so Allen has better protection himself. Before snapping the ball, the center points toward number 40, the inside Mike linebacker of the Dolphins, identifying him as the Mike. This shifts the offense's line protection toward that left side. They don't know this yet, but they have correctly identified a blitzer. The offensive line is now responsible for blocking the 4 down linemen and the ID'd Mike. The Bills are prepared to attack cover 3 and have called a dagger concept, which looks like this. The F receiver runs this seam route. The Z receiver runs a 10 to 12 yard dig route. On the backside, the X receiver motions out to the left and then runs this sluggo concept. And the tight end runs this option route where he can do either a curl, an out route, or just sit between coverages and find a soft spot. The reason this is a good call against cover 3 is because the deep safety will play the deep middle and the cornerbacks will play the deep thirds on the perimeter, like this. There tends to be a soft spot, a weakness, right between these gaps. So this seam route, immediately, if this F receiver can get space behind this free safety, there might be an easy completion right in this zone here. If not, he's going to pull this cornerback deep with him as he continues his seam route, and this dig route might become open underneath in that same spot. The Bills have a choice to make. They can keep their running back, Ty Johnson, in to block, giving the Bills 6 total blockers, which would buy Allen more time, but it would give the defense an extra coverage defender. They decide instead to send him out on a flat route, but the blocking numbers appear even at 5 versus 5. We've got our 5 offensive linemen, our 4 down defensive linemen, and the Mike. The ball is snapped. Here's what the defensive line does. First of all, this left edge defender in this 9 tech position rushes around the outside in what we'd call a contained position. He's trying to wrap around the outside to get to the quarterback, but he's also trying to prevent him from bootlegging or scrambling out to the left. Our first defensive tackle, who's lined up in this 4-eye technique, appears to be attacking the B gap. However, he ends up crossing over the face of this left guard and attacking the A gap instead, trying to disrupt the protection and cause the offensive line to make a mistake with their protection rules. But the offensive line is prepared. Their pre-snap slide protection means the left guard will hand off this 4-tech to the center, which they do perfectly. The left guard now has eyes on this Mike linebacker who they ID'd pre-snap to see if he is in fact blitzing. He is, and he's rushing through this B gap, which the left guard sees and picks him up successfully. It appears as if the Bills' protection has succeeded. However, unexpectedly, the Dolphins have sent a second blitzer from the left side, Minkah Fitzpatrick, the nickel corner in this case, who is lined up in the slot, not showing blitz, and who is now blitzing free through the B gap, completely unblocked. It was a smart play design by the Dolphins to create overloaded pressure on one side of the offensive line to get a free man rushing toward the quarterback. However, it's created a significant vulnerability. This middle part of the field where these 2 defenders were meant to cover is completely wide open, waiting for an easy completion to be made. And we have a tight end who's running this option route right in that area. But before he's able to get there and before Allen is able to see that, right before the ball is snapped, the Dolphins linebacker, Jordan Brooks, number 20 right here, quickly rotates across the field and plays zone coverage right in that open gap. The window has closed. Allen has no choice at this point but to run right out of the pocket. Remember, he's being contained by this edge linebacker. He sees the pressure coming from Minkah Fitzpatrick through the B gap. This is his only option towards safety. He starts to look down the field, watching to see if this route concept becomes open, but before he can, Minkah Fitzpatrick makes it home for a sack. It's 4th and 15. Now, in this case, the Bills had called the right play call to beat cover 3. It actually appeared as if this seam route was temporarily open right after he got behind this free safety. Right before Allen got sacked, that dig route also became open right in that spot where we mentioned. But there just wasn't enough time. Now, it's possible that this running back, had he stayed into block, could have picked up on that pressure coming from Minkah Fitzpatrick and given a block, allowing Allen time to find that dig route. However, that flat route that the running back went out to did catch the attention of the free safety, pulling him downwards, which is what created that open spot behind him. It's hard to know for sure what the outcome would have been. At the end of the day, this was an excellent situational play call from Miami that resulted in a near game-ending play. Seattle versus Arizona. We're only about 4 minutes into this game on the first drive. Seattle has the ball. It's 1st and 10 on Arizona's 43-yard line. They come out in 12 personnel with Darnold under center, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and 2 receivers. It's a pretty balanced formation, 2 by 2, 2 receivers on the left, 2 on the right. This is only the 3rd 1st and 10 play of this game, but Seattle has already spotted what they think is a pattern, and the Cardinals have lined up again, showing what looks like cover 6. Cover 6 is a combination of cover 4 and cover 2. Half the field is playing cover 4, where 2 defenders are playing quarter responsibilities of the deep field, and the other half of the field is playing cover 2, which 1 defender is responsible for that entire half. 2 plus 4 is 6, cover 6. The first 2 1st and 10 plays of this game, the Cardinals came out showing pre-snap what looked like cover 6, and then post-snap ended up playing cover 6 with no disguise. It's now the 3rd 1st and 10 play of the game, and the Cardinals have come out with the exact same looking coverage. And the Seahawks believe they can take advantage of this. And they've also come into this game with a big advantage. The Cardinals are missing 2 cornerbacks due to injury, including one of their best cornerbacks, Will Johnson, who is the number 6 ranked cornerback this year by Pro Football Focus. The cornerback replacing him on the cover 2 side of the field is a nickel corner called Garrett Williams, who has struggled a bit this year and ranks near the bottom in the league in terms of receptions allowed. Here's how this play develops. Seattle puts their right tight end on a motion coming across the field. Once he gets past the quarterback, the ball is snapped. This edge defender rushes off the edge, but is quickly blocked by that motioning tight end. The left tight end picks up and successfully blocks the defensive end, and the rest of the line blocks towards the right. The play call is a fake run to the right side of the field. The entire line shifts horizontally. This left tackle blocks the defensive tackle. The right guard and center are tasked with double teaming this defensive tackle. And this left guard is expected to block somebody in his gap as well. Perhaps this Mike linebacker. However, he reads the run and wants to get to the outside, so he starts moving laterally. This left guard instead, with nobody to block, just comes in and helps on a triple team against this defensive tackle instead. Darnold gets the ball, steps back, and gives what looks like a handoff to his running back, running towards this kind of B gap here. The Will linebacker, thinking it's a run, jumps down and is quickly met with a block from that running back. On the deep coverage side of things, we have our cornerback playing a deep half, our free safety playing a deep quarter, and our other cornerback playing a deep quarter. The free safety bites a bit on the run play and takes a step or 2 down and to the right side of the field. But here's what happens next. Darnold, after giving a fake handoff, bootlegs out to the left. He's now on the move with the ball in his hands. His 2 tight ends and running back stay into block, along with his 5 offensive linemen, giving him max protection with 8 blockers. This allows a lot of time for the play to develop and what happens next. As he rolls out to the left, he keeps his eyes downfield on his ex-receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's running a go route against this deep half cornerback. Normally, this play doesn't work because this deep corner or safety has more than enough time to get to this ball when it's released. He's expected to not let anybody get past him, and deep passes, the ball is going to be in the air for a long period of time, so he's going to have time to get to where the ball is going. But this isn't this corner's normal responsibility. He's typically a nickel corner and he's just filling in. But he's now essentially matched up one-on-one against one of the league's best receivers. It's a good enough matchup for Darnold to take a shot, and he hits JSN in the end zone for a 43-yard touchdown. He only ends up having about a half step of separation when he gets the ball, but it's enough for a relatively clean and easy touchdown pass. The free safety almost has enough time to get back and make a play on the ball. However, due to him playing quarters coverage and not cover 3 coverage, he lines up initially a little bit further away than he normally would. In a typical cover 3, he'd be lining up a little bit more central because he's responsible for covering this entire middle of the field. But because he's in this cover 6 responsibility, he's only responsible for this part right here. So he's naturally lined up a little bit more to this side of the field. Also, he does bite a little bit on this play action run and takes a step in that direction, further moving him away from where the ball is going to be. This was a great play call based on both this coverage pattern they noticed and because of the personnel advantage that they got due to injuries. Next is the Falcons versus the Colts in Germany. The game is tied 25-25 and is in overtime. The Colts have the ball on the 8-yard line with a chance to win. They come out in 22 personnel, which they almost never use. 2 running backs and 2 tight ends with just 1 receiver. The extra running backs and tight ends increase the likelihood of this being a run play. Plus, the 2 tight ends on the field have a combined 4 receptions this year, compared to the 50 catches from their number 1 tight end, Tyler Warren. At this point in the game, Jonathan Taylor already has over 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, plus an extra 40 receiving yards. And they've handed him the ball 5 of the 6 plays on this overtime drive so far. So this play is screaming that a run is coming. The defense lines up with a stacked box. We've got 6 guys that are on the line of scrimmage, and then another 3 that would be pretty much in the box, so 9 men in the box. The defensive line is lined up to cover all of these interior running lanes. The offense comes out in this I formation, where the quarterback is under center with 2 running backs behind him. Jonathan Taylor lined up about 6 or 7 yards behind him, and then this lead blocking running back just offset to the left, Tyler Goodson. The play call is a gap run to the right side of the field. It starts with tight end Tyler Goodson motioning in to behind or next to his left tackle, and the ball is snapped. The left tackle has a pretty difficult assignment. Because the ball is being run to the right side and he has no additional run blocking support on his left side, he has to take a big step to the right and do this reach block on this defensive end, which he does pretty well. The center down blocks this defensive tackle, as does this right guard, and the right tackle and tight end double team this defensive end, which completely leaves this linebacker unblocked. But because this is a gap run, it involves this left guard pulling across behind the quarterback and blocking this linebacker as he blitzes around the edge. The left guard actually doesn't do a great job at securing this block, and the linebacker had a shot to tackle Taylor after he receives the ball. But he hesitated a little bit and had kind of a bad angle, and Taylor was able to run past him. Tyler Goodson does this little counter block where he runs to the left and then comes back to the right, comes right behind this tight end here and blocks this cornerback. Super clean. Now that motioning tight end on the left side does something that is crucial. After the snap, he comes through the backfield and he makes this backside block on the free safety, which without this block, this play would not have been successful. That free safety would have easily been able to run into that running lane and likely have a chance at tackling Taylor. The result of this is that there's a huge lane for Taylor to run into behind his lead blocker here. There's only one unblocked defender, and it's this strong safety. And he absolutely has a great chance to tackle Taylor. Taylor does a quick little juke to the right, back to the left, breaks his ankles, and jogs in for what looks like a pretty easy touchdown to win the game. Capping off a 244-yard game on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns, and currently now on pace for just shy of 2,000 rushing yards and 25 touchdowns on the season. This is a textbook gap running play, which had a combination of excellent blocks like this one from the tight end here, a bit of a missed tackle from the linebacker here, a big juke on this strong safety here. It was a great play, won the game in overtime. Really great finish. Let's take a look at some of the great plays from the Raiders and Broncos game on Thursday night. Let's take a look at the Lions and Commanders game instead. There's 8 minutes and 24 seconds left in the first quarter. The Lions have the ball. They come out of the huddle in 12 personnel. 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. Goff is lined up in the shotgun, and both tight ends are lined up on the right side of the field, making this the strength of the offense's formation. The defense comes out in what looks like cover 3. due to the single high safety, but also because each cornerback is lined up about 8 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, a pretty telltale sign that we're about to see cover 3. The goal here is for the defense to keep everything in front of them. We're on the 14-yard line, and they're simply trying to prevent a catch from happening in the end zone. And they're happy giving up a completion short or intermediate yardage, as long as they make that tackle before the end zone, of course. And what the Lions do here is they call a textbook cover 3 concept called Texas that takes advantage of one of the coverage's weaknesses and also uses the defense's leverage against them. It's really interesting. So here are the defense's zone responsibilities. We've got our 3 deep coverages here. And then in the middle, we have 3 intermediate zone coverages that look something like this. On the offense, the Y tight end runs this shallow cross across the field, which enters the zone of responsibility for this Mike linebacker, who moves to the left with him. The U tight end runs a corner route, which starts with a vertical stem and then breaks to the corner. The initial part of this route stem is actually a typical cover 3 beater because it attacks a vulnerability, this gap between the deep zone coverages. But in this Texas concept, the purpose of this is actually to force this Sam linebacker to initially cover this route and move backwards before handing off that responsibility to the corner. This opens up a zone underneath of him in front. But because this is in the red zone, the shell coverage, the safeties and corners on the deep part of the field, are not playing as deep as they normally would because it's only 14 yards away. So because of that, this Sam linebacker doesn't actually move backwards at all. He just trusts that his cornerback and safety behind him are close enough that they'll pick up on this tight end's route, allowing him to remain in good position in this hook curl zone. Then what he sees is Jahmyr Gibbs running a route into the flat. Gibbs is the only remaining threat on this side of the field, and he's starting to enter this zone of responsibility for the Sam linebacker. And he doesn't want to be beat. So he starts running to the outside to try and get better leverage to protect against that possibility. The free safety sees this as well, and he starts to take a couple steps in that direction. But then what happens is Gibbs takes a hard cut, plants his foot, and cuts back toward the middle of the field. This is the Texas concept. It's this vertical seam route from our tight end in combination with this Texas route underneath, taking advantage of that vulnerability short of that Sam linebacker. Now, because the Sam is running with momentum to this side of the field, that cut allows Gibbs to get in front of him and get an extra step of space, getting an easy completion. Remember, the Mike linebacker is already moving horizontally as he follows this Y tight end across the field, and this cornerback is playing deep coverage against that corner route from our U tight end. So the only man that Gibbs has to beat now, since he's already beaten this Sam, is this free safety. But similarly, because he's moving in this direction with momentum, it's a pretty easy cut to the inside for Gibbs to walk in for an easy 14-yard touchdown. There weren't any significant misses or coverage busts. This was simply an excellent play call with great execution from Gibbs.